RFK for Department of Health and Home. Dude, holy moly. What a horrifying reality we exist under. I cannot begin to explain to you how devastating this is. A man who is an anti-vaxxer, who also had some really interesting takes about Jewish people and what they were doing with the Chinese in the development of the COVID coronavirus, which suspiciously enough, according to the ADL, doesn't read as anti-Semitic. I don't know why. Maybe because he's super pro-Israel. That's the other wonderful aspect of RFK's, like, insane and rather colorful history, is that he has also said COVID-19 was genetically engineered to spare Jews and the Chinese. Not just all Jews, though. Ashkenazi Jews specifically, I believe, is what the quote was.
The technology that we now have to develop these microbes, we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19.
Definitely, man. Definitely. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are...
COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
Sick. If you recall, I covered this at the time, and we made a lot of jokes about it. Like, have you ever met an Ashkenazi Jewish person in your life? And many other hilarious dunks on this take, which is insane. COVID being a genetically engineered bioweapon that spares Ashkenazi Jews and the Chinese is laughably anti-Semitic. It like reaches the level of like, holy shit, what the are you saying, to, oh my God, you are the most insane anti-Semitic person, to, it's actually kind of funny how stupid you are. Now, I can't even joke about it now for two reasons. One, because everyone is up my asshole to be like, oh, I got him, Hasan, you're anti-Semitic. I'm going to clip you out of context. But also because he's now in charge of the HHS. All of a sudden, things when he is not even within striking distance of any sort of government regulatory agency that you could laugh at are no longer a laughing matter. He was approved, not yet, but I think the Trump administration is looking for a method to basically avoid the Senate's advice and consent responsibility and do mass recess appointments. Get it done through the recess process. That's what they are looking to do. There's a lot of conflicting views between these cabinet members. Some people hate Jewish people. Some love Israel. Some of them are RFK Jr. No, there is one thing that unites them. First of all, everyone is pro-Israel. Don't be ridiculous now. Number two, they all hate Muslims. Okay? These are some very important uniting principles. And last but not least, and this is the most important aspect of the cabinet, they are all diehard loyalists to Donald Trump. Because there is a litany of different opinions in the cabinet. Oh, they also hate China. That's another good one. Yes. It's funnier to think that China made this virus while protecting themselves and Ashkenazi Jews. Yeah, I know. It is pretty funny. But then, once again, it's no longer funny and very scary when you remember that this guy is going to be in charge of shit. Specifically, medicine. You can't have a guy that's anti-medicine leading like things that revolve around medication.
We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons. That's what all those labs in the Ukraine are about.
Dude, he is so insane, dude. He is so insane. God damn it, dude. What are we doing? What are we doing, dog? Holy shit, we are so cooked. Oh my God, this country is in the pooper, in the dumps. We are going to kill ourselves. Holy fuck. RFK Jr., one of the most anti-science figures in the world, will oversee a vast bureaucracy with a discretionary budget of nearly $150 billion annually and a mandatory budget of nearly $2 trillion. HHS and its various agencies have profound regulatory powers that impact the healthcare and of not only hundreds of millions of Americans, but also the global healthcare community. The following agencies will be under his control as Secretary of Health and Human Services: Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Food and Drug Administration, National Institutes of Health, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, Health Resources and Services Administration, Administration for Children and Families, Administration for Community Living, Indian Health Service, Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality. When RFK was running for president, he said he would stop research on drug development and infectious diseases for 8 years.
NIH, my first week, I'm going to call all the division heads and I'm going to call all the bureau chiefs. And I'm going to say, we're going to give drug development and infectious disease a break, a little bit of a break for about 8 years. And we're going to study chronic disease.
Oh my God. Maybe the U.S. will have a bunch of brain drain in the health services. I think one of the wildest parts about this is that this is America cucking itself with its refusal to acknowledge any of the underlying material harm. We are bouldering towards like this fascist ANCAP dystopia, right? Anarcho-capitalist dystopia. And in that process, America's just like fucking itself over in the long term. Any country that has even a little bit of responsibility to governance is going to cook our shit, especially if you're a country that's like uniparty like China and they have like long-standing, decades-long policies that they're implementing. Like these sorts of things are very important, very consequential for the future prospects of nations. America, on the other hand, is so short-term profit motive invested that they just can't see anything else. And we're basically actively destroying the country from within. This is why I used to always say, like, the Republican Party is the greatest threat, the greatest terroristic threat to America and perhaps the entire globe. Democrats are a close second. And that the likes of Osama bin Laden or any arch terrorist could never imagine the amount of damage that the Republican Party will do to the nation and also the world as a whole. And now we're there. We're literally there. It's so wild. Do you think it's strategic? Like nominate a bunch of crazies just to make a few getting through seem like a compromise? No, dude. The problem is you think these guys are doing 4D chess. This is something that a lot of people did back in the day as well. A lot of Trump supporters would do that. They'd be like, oh, when he wrote Covfefe, he was actually doing 5D chess. And the media also kind of went along with it as well. No, what you see is what you get. They're not playing chess. They're playing checkers. It's a direct through line. There is no convoluted, complicated reasoning for why they're doing this, okay? He does not give a shit. I can't begin to explain this to you. He does not give a shit. These guys do not care. He does not care. He does not want people that will defy him in any agency, okay? There is no secret reasoning behind this, okay? People are saying like, oh, well, maybe Matt Gaetz is a trial balloon. It's like, no, it's not. He just wants a person that is easily blackmailed and loyal to him in that position. And I'm willing to bet that the more shit comes out about Matt Gaetz, the more they'll push for it. I would be very surprised if like the media pressure and the public pressure on Matt Gaetz actually causes them to stand down. Because for Trump, the backlash is important. Okay, it's about overcoming said backlash to show that he can do it. I saw this. This was a fantastic tweet. Exactly. Cognitive behavioral therapy and Jory are just cut off in traffic. Think positively. He's probably in a rush for a reason. Maybe he's late for a job interview. Maybe his wife is giving birth. Me, I'm the king of the highway. That's it. So like when Ezra Klein says the Gaetz nomination is so off the wall that I half believe he's sacrificial, so Senate Republicans will give an easier time confirming all the other questionable picks, having shown their independence by icing Gaetz. No, there is no convoluted, complicated reason. What you see is what you get. Okay, that's precisely what it is. I don't even think they care about like oh, what will we do? What if people won't allow us to put Matt Gaetz into that position? It's like, no, it's more so about like Trump pushing through regardless. This is a man who already was president for 4 years. This is a man who tried to overturn the Democratic elections results in 2020. He knows what not to do, and he's vindictive. He's malicious. He's narcissistic. He knows not to repeat the same mistakes. No more establishment Republicans. No more playing ball. You force them to do your bidding. The cruelty is the purpose. The insanity is the purpose. Ultimately, loyalty above all else. Because if you have people who want to defend institutions or care about the integrity of certain things, and they do not have loyalty above all else, those people, like they did, will become naysayers. And you don't want that. That's the whole point. He doesn't want a leaky faucet like he had last time around, where members of his cabinet and people were constantly chirping to the media and undermining the things that he wanted to do. That's why the general appointment board is also significant for him. He wants to eliminate any kind of potential disloyalty. And in many instances, if you want to up the country, yeah, you're going to have people who are still invested in protecting some of these institutions. If you care about the military, you're going to be like, oh, fuck that. I'm not doing that. That's crazy. I'm going to actually go to the media and I'm going to talk about how you're crazy. He doesn't want that. Competence in that situation is actually going to undermine your chances of becoming appointed. Because if you're a competent person, if you're a halfway competent person, like even Marco Rubio, as a matter of fact, in my opinion, is on shaky ground, right? On the important stuff, he's still appointing people that are like somewhat seen as like normal figures, like Marco Rubio, right? Even then, obviously Marco Rubio has demonstrated tremendous loyalty to him. Jared Polis just endorsed RFK. What? There is no way. I'm excited by the news that President-elect will appoint Robert Kennedy. This is a meme, right? No, it's not. It's not a meme. It's a meme that Jared Polis is the governor of Colorado. Before you mock him or disagree, I want to share with you some quotes that if he follows through, show why I'm excited. Level the playing field for Americans internationally on drug costs. Cap drug prices so companies can't charge Americans substantially more than Europeans pay. Yes. Colorado currently has an application just sitting at the FDA for us to import low-cost prescription drugs from Canada, and we just need their approval. Thinking that these guys are going to actually act out these populist desires that are genuinely helpful and not the bad shit is so delusional. I don't know how to begin to explain this to you. It's like thinking Matt Gaetz is going to be a fucking trust buster, dog. Wake up. That's not the point. That's never the point. Nobody is playing 7-dimensional chess. Wake up, chatters. What you see is what you get. Donald Trump is not playing this like long con. He's very clearly going, I don't give a fuck if these people blow up these regulatory agencies. I actually am putting them there to do that exact same thing. And we will have a lot of people who are aligned with us that will make a shit ton of money. I don't even want to know who the Department of Education secretary is going to be. Oh my God. It's going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene, dude. It's going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene, or like, oh my God, it's going to be MTG. Kid Rock. They're going to put Christopher Rufo in charge of the Department of Education. I'm going to die. People are saying, oh, he's going to abolish the Department of Education. Yeah, but before he does it, he's going to put someone in the interim period to implode it from within. Oh my Lord, it is so bad. Dude, it's over. The brain worm is officially going to control. That's the craziest part, is that the brain worm won. The long con is that the brain worm won. Now it gets to control the HHS. That's crazy. In Nazi Germany, it was meth. I wonder what these guys' like choice of drugs is that's like f***ing up their brain. I guess lead poisoning. Be on the lookout for more of that, by the way. RFK is going to come out and be like, lead actually is very good for the brain. Many people are saying that lead poisoning is not even poisoning. It's more lead welcoming. We must be more welcoming of the lead, like I am welcoming of the worm that has taken over my brain. Lead strengthening. Everybody knows that immunocompro phallocytes, a word I did not just make up on the spot at this moment, but a real word from my many years of studying this, are really important to maintain high lead levels in your body. You are so toxic, he just wants what's best for us worms. I mean, humans. Yeah. Excuse me, I am not the brain worm controlling this human flesh machine. I am a human being. I'm sentient. And certainly not a worm. And I think it's great. One thing to always remember is that none of the good things that they say they're going to do, because good things require you to tackle corporate interests are going to happen, because these guys are never going to tackle corporate interests. When they talk about, I don't know, like blowing up the FDA because there's too many harmful chemicals in our food, what they're actually advocating for is more deregulation, not more regulation. They will point to Europe and many of our OECD counterparts to talk about what must be done, not realizing that those guys actually at least have some semblance of real governance. They don't want to do the shit that they have in Europe. What they'll do instead is probably tackle the harmful chemicals in the water that are turning the children gay, which is, again, lo and behold, more deregulation. Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has a history of repeatedly sharing unfounded conspiracies that man-made chemicals in the environment could be making children gay or transgender and causing feminization of boys and masculinization of girls. How the fuck does that work? Is it estrogen or is it testosterone? How is it making the women more manly and the men more feminine? It's magic. All the trans people in the chat are about to be like, damn, I've been missing out. I had DIY HRT in the water supply this whole time. I'm about to go with one of those goddamn straws into a lake and just start sucking. Didn't realize I could get it for free, dude. I just want to pursue just one question on these. You know, the other endocrine disruptors, because our children know now, you know, we're seeing these impacts that people are suspect are very different in ages past about sexual identification among children and sexual confusion, gender confusion. Kennedy said on his podcast in June last year, these kinds of issues are very, very controversial today. Endocrine disruptors are chemicals that interfere with the body's hormones and endocrine system, according to the EPA. Such chemicals are commonly found in pesticides and plastic and can affect reproductive functions and increase risk of obesity. Kennedy on multiple occasions misconstrued endocrine disruptors, studied ability to cause some male frogs to become female and produce viable eggs, suggesting that these chemicals could have similar effects on children and change their sexuality. By the way, when people talk about, you know, they're turning the freaking frogs gay, like that's the one thing that like Alex Jones wasn't wrong on, because it does actually turn the frogs gay. Not even gay, but trans. They're transing the frogs. The difference, however, is that humans and frogs, and this might come as a shock to all the Disney adults in the chat, are different. Very different. Very different biology. I know. Sorry, you can't just like kiss a frog and then turn it into a human, or piss off a witch and then they'll turn you into a frog. It doesn't work that way. CNN spoke to multiple experts who said there's no link between endocrine disruptors and children's gender and sexuality. While sex in frogs is determined by environmental factors such as temperature and chemicals, Dr. Andrea Gore, professor of pharmacology and toxicology at University of Texas Austin, said the sex of humans is determined at the moment of conception and cannot later be altered by endocrine disrupting chemicals. The basis claim that chemicals, particularly in tap water, could turn people gay has gained popularity with conspiracy theorists over the years, most memorably with conservative radio Alex Jones, host Alex Jones, who said chemicals in the water were turning the freaking frogs gay. Mr. Kennedy's remarks are being mischaracterized. He's not claiming that endocrine disruptors are the only or the main cause of gender dysphoria, Kennedy campaign spokesperson said on a statement to CNN. He's merely suggesting that given copious research on the effects of on other vertebrates, this possibility deserves further research. I love whenever they say that, oh, this needs more. I'm simply asking questions. I'm simply implying it under the guise of simply asking questions. And the notion that is false here is that there isn't additional research being conducted into the matter. And yes, of course there is. And yes, PFAS, forever chemicals, like plastic, microplastics and shit, do actually harm or have long-lasting consequences potentially in humans. It's true. The problem is they're acting like there isn't any research on this matter whatsoever. They're convoluting a bunch of different things. They're tacking them on together. Okay, they're slamming them together and then claiming that it's transing the youth. Kennedy made comments multiple times between March 2022 and June 2023. If you expose frogs to atrazine, male frogs, it changes their sex and they can actually bear young. They can lay eggs, fertile eggs, like the eggs that the worm in my brain laid. Kennedy said in the June 2022 episode of his podcast, he further discussed how atrazine can chemically castrate and forcibly feminize frogs, saying, if it's doing that to the frogs, there's a lot of other evidence that it's doing to human beings as well. Kennedy did not offer any proof of similar changes happening in human beings. Dr. Linda Kahn, assistant professor in the departments of pediatrics and population health at New York University, added that comparing frogs to humans is an apples and oranges thing. It is not appropriate. What does she know? What the fuck does Dr. Linda Kahn, assistant professor in the departments of pediatrics and population health at New York University, know about the difference between frogs and human beings? This man is about to be like, yeah, that's right. We've studied the biodiversity and gender traits of the seahorse, and it seems that if a seahorse is exposed to watching public broadcast Arthur on PBS, especially the gay episode, they turn trans as well. It's like, no, that's just a thing that they can do, man. Wonderful stuff overall. I'm a pharmaceutical regulatory policy specialist. The FDA, industry, and patient orgs have been combing through the implications of RFK. So many people will lose their jobs. So many people will die. It only takes a brief diversion from the regulatory framework for millions to die or fall ill quickly. I have been sobbing daily since election night. No one will listen.